On this week's episode, Josh Pederson and I talk about the future of SoundCloud for the independent music scene and also for podcasters. We also share our thoughts on the latest Warcraft news and why Anabelle 2 was a big winner at the box office this weekend. And also why Rainbow Six Siege has done so well with gamers. We also have clips from the latest podcast from Humanican Media and another hit song from Hyperschmidt. It's another awesome guild of podcasting warriors we have for you today as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. First try. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford, of course, from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being out there listening to us, and we truly appreciate you making us the #1 show 6 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network. I'm here along with my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is the commander-in-chief of Humanican Media. It's Josh Pederson. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Just keep it busy.
Or I can say it's going somewhere. I don't know quite where yet.
Somewhere. Just looking out for icebergs, you know?
Yes. So what's going on, man? What's going on with the wonderful world of Humanican Media?
Same old stuff, man. You got your Super BS on Monday. New topic Apocalypse, the last part of part 3. And then there's a new What About This happening on the 21st. And yeah, I mean, just keep those reviews coming in. Keep on, both for Humanican and Pop Culture Cosmos. We greatly appreciate that. It's the currency of the realm for us podcasters.
Indeed, and the more reviews we get of a positive nature, your honest feedback, of course, and then the more notices that we get, the higher on the Apple Podcast food chain that we get, and it just helps us so much to gauge exactly what we're doing well and what we need to focus on in the future going forward for the show. Although we've gotten a lot of great feedback so far, we've gotten a lot of 5-star ratings so far for the show and the channel as a whole. And I know looking through Josh's iTunes channels, as far as for his various podcasts, he's gotten some excellent reviews as well. And definitely, if you want to check out all the great stuff Humanican Media has to offer, Josh, what are the networks that he can get a hold of it on?
Sorry, computer froze. Networks. You can listen to, we're on Podcast Radio Network on Tuesday. You can find us on iTunes, podcast.com, Podbean, Overcast FM, Mixcloud, some stuff. Yeah, it's all over the place. Just Google us. YouTube, Facebook, all the usual suspects.
Indeed, and I'm actually going to continue the effort to upload some stuff to Mixcloud for Josh, because that way when it goes to our Mixcloud channel, all those Humanican Media shows, they will go ahead and upload on Facebook, and you can just look right off the news feed at Humanican Media, Game Source, and also as well Pop Culture Cosmos, and you'll see them boom right there ready to play on the Mixcloud option right there. So it's been a great weekend so far. We got a lot of things to talk about. We got the future of SoundCloud. We've got some Warcraft news later in the show, talking some weekend box office, and also why Rainbow Six Siege has really had some great legs for a video game, especially a first-person shooter, a multiplayer eccentric game that it is. And we'll talk about why it's done so well with gamers later in the broadcast as well. We have some clips from the latest Humanican Media podcast. We'll throw in maybe a couple in there, like Super BS Gamescast and Topic Apocalypse. You knew the streak was going to end sometime.
Hey, you were close.
Go ahead.
Oh, I said you were close that time. Almost.
Yeah, almost indeed. Only counts in horseshoes. Topic Apocalypse got some great stuff from them as well. And then also just want to, share with you our thoughts on everything going on in the pop culture scene. And we truly appreciate you listening us in doing so. So Josh, the major decision for one of the, I guess, stalwarts of the audio uploading, just one of the major audio sources for independent music artists and also us podcasters, SoundCloud was determined on Friday. And it looked very much for the past few months like SoundCloud was going to meet an untimely end. Very, very, sad for a lot of artists and podcasters indeed. But on Friday, they got a reprieve, at least for now, with some emergency funding, a new CEO in place, et cetera, et cetera. So looking at the landscape of what SoundCloud offers, first for independent music artists, what does this mean as far as keeping SoundCloud in business for the present time?
I think it's more of like a stop measure than anything else. It's just temporary. I think SoundCloud has some business practices that they need to address. I think because it's weird because SoundCloud charges podcasters. So you can have like 4 or 5 episodes up there and they charge you for the rest of them. They need to.
That is limited though. So I know with us, we have chosen not to put a full episode, just only bits and pieces, because we did want to go with that option, correct?
Yeah, but they should have some sort, because I know a lot of people use SoundCloud to put their music out. It's a big thing. Like, it's not just like a small little junky site, but they need to come up with some better practices. Like make it more accessible for podcasts. Like have it so you can actually have a podcast section like iTunes does, and maybe have some more affordable plans instead of their, because I know they get pretty pricey.
They do. That's why we stayed off of it, as far as putting the entire library there and also making it our RSS feed.
Yeah, correct. And I think that I know SoundCloud. They don't offer an RSS feed, do they?
That one, yes, they do.
Okay, because
if you do decide to go on a full plan with SoundCloud and store your podcast there, you do get an RSS feed, which for those out there who are not sure what we're talking about, an RSS feed, actually, if you are able to create one or get one created for you, like through SoundCloud, your podcast can now be distributed to other platforms like ours can be, with so many other different platforms out there. Our RSS feed is originated from podcast.com, and we now then transfer that RSS feed to iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Sound, as far as Stitcher, so many others, Stitcher, Google Play, and I'll share more on the episode. I'll share more later in the episode on exactly all the places our RSS feed goes to. But it's very important for podcasters, indeed. Correct?
Yeah, it kind of gets your stuff out there. I don't know. I wouldn't use SoundCloud. Wouldn't be my first option to go to as far as podcast hosting goes. Maybe I need to look into it a little bit more. But they just, when I think of podcasting, I don't think of SoundCloud. I think more of like music. So I think they need to make themselves more known and make it affordable and make it something that like they have. Maybe they need to start promoting things or whatever. But, as far as the future of SoundCloud goes, I think they just need to work on their business practices.
Well, I also understand with some of these homes, and that these areas of, these odd places where you can put your audio, some of them really just price themselves out of the market because they don't really want to hold your entire library of podcasts. That's the insinuation I get when I see some of the pricing structures of all these audio hosting sites, that when they want to host you, but they don't want to host all your entire stuff, only your latest, like you said, latest 4 or 5 episodes is pretty much what I see. Podcast.com, it's a couple issues aside, as far as from technical standpoints, it's been a great hosting partner for both Josh's Humanity Media stuff and my stuff as well from the Pop Culture Cosmos. Obviously, the price structure is right, but it's also able to go ahead and hold an entire library, and they really have not said otherwise or made it unattractive for us to keep on doing so, which allows us in turn to go ahead and move our entire library over to iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher and all the rest of them. So it's very attractive for us to stay with a hosting site other than SoundCloud. For someone like Plasma Z, our good friend who has, obviously a library of songs on SoundCloud, as he indicated in my interview a couple of weeks back with him, it's very, very important for him to be a part of SoundCloud. But as times have changed and he's realized the fact that SoundCloud has not done a great job of promoting their artists and promoting their podcasts and promoting anything at all in that aspect, he's moved away from being totally reliant on SoundCloud and tried to focus in on other avenues to promote his music, which we are a benefit of because we are one of those outlets for him promoting his music as well. And we're greatly appreciative of that. But, SoundCloud going forward, I couldn't agree with you more, needs to change its structure on how it attracts audiences and attracts artists and podcasters to its format, because it clearly, from what you and I both have seen over the years, there's a reason why both you and I have limited our interactivity with SoundCloud, and obviously the pricing structure is the main ideal, and the features of it have had us shied away for now. So it hopefully, with the new structure in place, hopefully it will provide some stability for the company going forward, because it looks like at this point in time it's still kind of tenuous, even with the new funding and obviously the bad word. Once you have that bad word go out as far as your company is concerned, a lot of people, a lot of artists, and a lot of podcasters may stay away in the future from wanting to go and connect with SoundCloud. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I don't actually know too much about SoundCloud. I'm trying to remember, because I put one podcast up there, but I remember just because they charged so much, I never went back to using it. So,
but I'm asking you if the bad PR that they've created over the past month and a half may have caused them some problems going forward with artists reluctant to put their stuff on the platform.
Yeah, but at the same time, I know a lot of artists are kind of reliant on SoundCloud. So if you go on a lot of like our friend Plasma Z or Hyper Schmidt, or any of the artists that we've talked to, or any artists who put their stuff up on Facebook, they have links to SoundCloud. So it's I know Spotify's a little more. I know I think they charge for you to put stuff up on Spotify. So SoundCloud's the freer option for those who can't afford to do like iTunes or Spotify or whatever. So I think that they still have a market, they still have people, they just need to cater to them more. And as for the bad publicity, it's publicity nonetheless, but at the same time, like, these artists kind of need SoundCloud, so it's a very unique relationship.
It is indeed, and there are other options out there. Although Anchor is really cool, but it's temporary in that it only lasts 24 hours before the station goes off the air. So you have to keep re-uploading fresh material, or even the same material over and over, essentially, in order to get the word out there, because Anchor does seems to promote a little bit the stuff that this goes on there a little bit better than what SoundCloud was doing. But again, it's very temporary, and there are others out there. There are other options out there for artists and whatnot, but they just have to go and search for the right option for them. And us podcasters, definitely, it's getting harder and harder to find great options. Podcast.com, we have had a good relationship so far to this point, but for others, it's kind of hard for them to find that elusive place where they can call their home, so that they can branch out their network going forward. Because iTunes, as much as we love Apple Podcasts and iTunes, whatnot, it does not host. It only, it does not create the RSS feed. It only takes that RSS feed and takes everything off of it, and so you've got to go out and find that home that will send out that RSS feed to all those other networks. So definitely hoping for a good future for SoundCloud, hoping that it will regain its lofty status it once had within the music and podcasting industry, and because I've seen all over social media, people asking for options, going somewhere else, abandoning ship from SoundCloud, and I'm hoping this new line of funding, this new way of thinking, this new CEO in place will allow SoundCloud to get a better future and also bring back a lot of what was good about SoundCloud in the first place. What are your thoughts out there on SoundCloud and its future? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. It's going to be a great show out there for you, everyone out there. It's going to be a great show indeed. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about still. Anabelle 2, just scaring up the box office again. We'll break it down why we think Anabelle 2 did so well at the box office this weekend. Plus also as well, Rainbow Six Siege, talk a little bit of Warcraft. Got some great stuff coming up from Humanican Media with some clips from their shows as well. But first, we have got a great song. I know Josh mentioned it a little bit a while ago. He mentioned it was the great people at Hyperschmidt. It's Chad, our good friend Chad. He's got his great group called Hyperschmidt, and this is his song called Loading. Yes. There you go. And we've got a great song for you today from Hyperschmidt. This is Forsaken, and this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Like I said earlier, we are available on numerous array of outlets. Mixcloud, we upload. It's on its own type of format, so we truly appreciate everything that Mixcloud does. But everything else we do is on that magical RSS feed, starting with podcast.com, but also as well, we are on iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, the ACE Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, the Gonna Geek Network as well, Cast Crunch, and of course our home site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. And then, of course, we're the #1 show 6 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network, and it is all because of you. Well, Josh, it was a pretty kind of mixed bag at the box office with a lot of movies that are really underperforming right now. Dunkirk seems to still have some legs and it's doing okay, but a lot of other movies like The Nut Job 2 performed, I believe, was one of the worst performing movies for a movie that domestically that was released in over 4,000 theaters. I also as well, last week's The Dark Tower really stumbled at the box office as well. But Anabelle 2 really still provided magic that only horror movies seem to bring by winning the box office with about $35 million this weekend domestically. So I ask you first, Josh, what is it about Anabelle 2 that makes it so attractive to audiences? And then does that lead into, the thinking we've thought before, the items that we've said before in regards to horror movies, low budget horror movies, hitting that niche with audiences?
Of course, yeah. People like horror movies. Like, they can be bad horror movies. I remember when I used to work at a movie theater, and anytime a new horror movie came out, like, it would do surprisingly well. And it's not just, it's usually young, like, teenagers that come to see them. So I imagine Anabelle is probably attracting a fairly decent amount of them. Plus, I think Annabelle's also sort of deceiving in the fact that a lot of people are expecting, you know, a movie like The Conjuring, and it's not quite that. I remember, did you see the first Annabelle? It was pretty bad, and I went into that expecting the same kind of, you know, like great storytelling and thrills that I saw in The Conjuring. And I did not get that. So the fact that Annabelle 2 is doing so well is, you know, it's surprising to me. But then again, it's not, because anytime there is a horror movie, people are going to go watch it. Because if you look at the last, you know, couple of Insidious movies, they've been pretty bad, but people have still paid money to go see them. So it's just, you know, it's just horror movies for you. People like them. People won't ever stop because people like to be scared. It's kind of it's a novel feeling, and you know, as long as they keep making movies like that, people will keep watching them.
Well, remember last year when we had that run of really solid, low budget horror movies that seemed to connect consistently week after week after week with audiences last year. I mean, that was just right in a row, correct?
Right. What movies were those? Those were can't remember.
Well, first off, The Conjuring 2 was yeah, that hit big, and there was several others that really connected with audiences. And I'm telling you, Josh, it was just amazing to see these very profitable movies for the studio that seemed to hit a niche. And I was surprised this year when we really haven't seen that much of that outside of Split and Get Out. We really haven't seen much of that success translated this year with audiences. But Annabelle 2, almost, you know, mirror image of what Annabelle is doing, just a tick less. And I still think that, you know, for a movie that's going to cost maybe, you know, it's according to reports $15 million to make, and it's already made back its production budget, you know, and it just seems like it's been a big win for this type of genre. And I guess when we see what Jigsaw is coming later this year, is that correct?
Right. Yeah, I'm curious about that. And there's a new Leatherface movie coming out.
Yeah, I wasn't so hot on that one because I don't know, it just didn't look appealing to me. But Jigsaw trying to recreate and reignite that Saw franchise, I think that might look promising, don't you think?
I don't know. Like I feel, you know, I like the first like 3 Saw movies, but then it just kept getting, it's the same thing over and over again. I'm not a huge fan of like torture flicks, but the first 3 Saw movies managed to tell like a pretty solid tale. And if we're just gonna have some guy copying what Jigsaw did, I don't know how great that's going to end up being. But people are excited about it, so that's good. And it shows that people are hungry for movies that don't involve superheroes or you know, interconnected universes. So that's exciting in that fact that it could mean a rise in those types of movies again.
Although The Conjuring is, I mean, Annabelle 2 is part of an interconnected universe.
Yeah, but if you asked your average moviegoer about that, they probably would have no idea.
This is true. They said, hey, is that the movie with the doll? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're movie nerds, so of course we know stuff like that.
Well, but then there's also, I cannot wait until, you know, they're going to probably resurrect the Final Destination movies and all that again, because they had such a success of those series of those type of movies, because you see at least Hollywood still can recognize a formula when there is one with low budget horror flicks doing X amount, and they can pretty much, if they're halfway decent, that's what they can count on. So we should see again, like revival, possibly the Final Destination series, obviously the Jigsaw coming back to theaters, Leatherface being reignited again. Could Freddy Krueger be reignited for a new Nightmare on Elm Street? I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility as well. So any other horror franchises that you could think of that may be reignited once again to audiences?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw The Grudge come back.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. That's a good one.
The first one terrified me, and the second two kind of ended up being like jokey a little bit, like campy. So if you put it in the hands of a director who can handle it, I'm sure it would be something that people would flock to go see.
At least for the first couple weekends, that seems to be the tradition with these type of flicks. The first 2 weekends are pretty strong, and then it really goes off the kilt from there. But it really goes off kilter from there. So it all depends. But like I said, by the time the first 2 weeks are done, they've already made back whatever they put into it. So that's usually a great sign for the movie industry as a whole. And obviously, for horror fans who just really love to be scared when they go to the theaters, this definitely is a good sign indeed. So, what are your thoughts on Annabelle 2? Did you like it? Is it something you're looking forward to? Are you done with the Conjuring franchise? Or are you done with the horror movies like this as a whole? Tell us your thoughts. Tell us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos show. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being out there and listening to us. We thank you so much for being part of the broadcast here today. Josh Pederson from Humanican Media back with me as well. And Josh, I tell you what, Rainbow Six Siege, it's been this game that it came out with okay reviews and whatnot, pretty solid. Came out with also as well, a pretty okay, solid, as far as response from fans and sales and whatnot, but it didn't blow anyone away. But it has stayed continuously on the US and UK charts week after week, month after month. Not to the point of GTA 5, mind you, but still a very, very solid performance indeed, to where Ubisoft has reported as having over 20 million players that have played the game, and obviously that means to a great amount of sales. So I ask you, Josh, as someone who used to play the Rainbow Six games of the past, what can you attribute this kind of success with Rainbow Six Siege as a multiplayer platform?
It's one of those games that's like Call of Duty, how people kind of just go home and play it over. They just play with their buddies. It's more for the casual gamer. I remember specifically like when, because the last one I played was Rainbow Six Vegas, and I would come home and like my buddies at work would all be playing it. So I'd jump on and play with them for a while. And even if you don't like the game, like it's still a good way to kind of entertain yourselves. And the great thing about Rainbow Six is they're always offering content. Like to me, it's kind of like I guess a version of Overwatch. It's not as detailed as that, but it has a lot of stuff and a lot of people playing it, and they're always they pay attention to what their fans want and they fix the bugs. That's the one good thing about Tom Clancy games, that Ubisoft is always taking care of their fans, and I think that's one of the things that always brings them back to it.
Well, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And then also, when you think about it, like you pointed out, they really respect their community and don't just dump a DLC and then call it a day a few months after. They have consistently provided, time after time, new maps, new features, things to look after. And that's why that's kept that community so robust month after month. They did cancel a DLC earlier this year, but replaced that with other options, and they've kept the community at large somewhat satisfied with all the stuff. And Operation Blood Orchid, which is coming out later this month, is going to add so much more to that with a new map and more operators, and just shows that this game has been doing well enough because of the support that both Ubisoft and the fan base is giving it. And it just shows when you have a multiplayer platform like that, like Overwatch, and like this week with Lawbreakers, everyone is hoping for, that they will provide a robust community with a lot of options month after month, or at least in a a reasonable time period, so that fans will not get tired of the game that quickly. So it's definitely a good sign why Rainbow Six Siege has done so well. And it seems, well, to me, it's been a very, when I played the game, it has been very tactical about how should I go about, either trying to take down my enemies or protect myself, or find a way to, make it difficult for my opponents to come at me. So definitely from that realm, it's been very intriguing to watch and be a part of as a gamer. So it really speaks to the quality of the game itself, because I think it's a really, really well-made game. I think it's one of the best first-person shooters out there, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with the Rainbow Six Siege community playing the game. So it's definitely something worth looking at if you haven't already. And I'll tell you what, it looks like continuous support, not only from the esports community, but also from the Ubisoft community as well, giving it continued love with new maps, new operators. Just goes to show you how well this game has done and how well this game will continue to do moving forward. What are your thoughts on Rainbow Six Siege? Do you play it regularly? Is it something that you're looking to get into? Is it something that you might think that it might be something you want to pick up later this year when it maybe goes on a little bit more of a discount? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, as well, Humanica Media, Game Source, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. Where is the... Okay. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Josh Pederson from Humanica Media. Before we talk about our last subject and head on out, I got to hear I got to hear what's coming up this week from Humanica Media.
Same things as usual, man. Got your Super BS coming at you on Monday, new Topicocalypse, and then on the 21st is a new episode of What About This? And then, as always, tune into the Podcast Radio Network on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's awesome indeed. And yes, that is Attack of the Humanicans on the Podcast Radio Network at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's definitely a great show that's a can't miss. And then also check out on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It is the PCC Multiverse on there as well. And if you can't catch on the Podcast Radio Network, well, there's so many different available options to download, and you can always check up on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook site for all the different listings there. Josh, tell me about your Warcraft memories as far as your thoughts on the Warcraft series. Not only just the World of Warcraft, but the Warcraft games as a whole. Do you have any special fond memories of playing the series?
Not really. I remember playing I played 1 and 2 a lot with my buddies, but after that, I never got into WoW. I had because back when WoW came out, I was playing Final Fantasy 11, so I didn't want to jump onto 2 different subscription games. My friends all played WoW, but I just couldn't get into it.
I can't blame you, because WoW is, to someone that's not outside, to someone that stands outside of the Warcraft realm, it is very intimidating to get into that world, and it could be very time consuming, correct?
Yeah, it's very time consuming, and that's the problem. I've been wanting to play Elder Scrolls Online too, but I'm afraid to pick up an MMO just because I know it takes a lot of time I have to devote to it, and especially when WoW came out, I was in high school and I didn't have time to sit there and play it, and I was already playing Final Fantasy. But it's a beautiful game. It looks really great, and I know they've done a lot for their fans, and they continue to do so even with Overwatch going on. But I know we're about to jump into the question of whether or not we want a remastered version of Warcraft 3, but I honestly I haven't heard a lot of calling for it. But I feel like Blizzard is avoiding giving fans what they actually want, which is a new Warcraft. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree with you more. I know this often this show seems to be like, you agreeing with me and I agreeing with you, but we seem to see eye to eye on a lot of things. Sometimes we argue back and forth on some various topics, but tell you what, when it comes to Warcraft, I see that as something that it would be the best alternative. But then again, they seem to have a similar line of thinking to Valve as far as trying to create new products instead of just what they're doing and just trying to expand the lifespan of all these older properties. And the news this week came down that they have launched the official public test realm for Warcraft 3. So that's awesome. And because they're looking to remaster Warcraft 3 and Diablo 2, but that's not, I don't know, as someone who has not, to someone like me who has not really gotten himself deeply involved with a lot of Blizzard games, sprinkled here and there as far as my experience is concerned and the time I've devoted to them. This doesn't really grab me or hook me, and I didn't really hear that much of, like you said, I really didn't hear that much of a calling for Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3 remasters. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people now that want remasters of the games because it could look so much better, could be on different formats, playing it on the PS4, Xbox One, etc. But those are not two of the games that I have called for, and I know those are two of the games that really haven't been called for by a lot of people. And a new World of Warcraft would really be the ticket for expanding an even larger audience, because you and I both have seen over the past 10 years a decline in the number of people playing World of Warcraft. So you think a new Warcraft MMO or even a new Warcraft build would get a new influx of people playing, get a new influx of people beyond the people playing Overwatch for Blizzard games, correct? Because it looks like right now anybody that wants to come into playing Blizzard games is just going to go to Overwatch.
Yeah, so how long until Warcraft sort of becomes obsolete? Because if you have a game that looks as good as Overwatch, because even the best remasters out there still don't look as good as a modern game. Like some of them look like they've barely even been touched. So it just begs the question of, if you have to choose between, is anybody going to play a remastered Warcraft? I guess is what I'm getting at. And I don't think the answer will be yes. I don't see that happening.
Unless they add an amazing number of new features, I agree with you. It's just does not appeal to us in general, and we're kind of the general audience. We're kind of the audience that they want to get a hold of, people that would commit to the game if it was appealing, that did not play the game really to any extent previously. So I don't know if I'm not sure what Blizzard's doing. I know they're spending and devoting a lot of time and care to Overwatch, and rightly so. That game has really done well. It is the pop culture cosmos, Humanican Media Game of the Year for 2016, and there's a reason why, because it's a great community of and a great support from Blizzard. But Blizzard's a large enough company where they can go ahead and launch a new IP or a new envisioning of the Warcraft game or the Warcraft MMO, and really, instead of focusing on trying to get audiences invested in a reboot or a rehash of previous iterations.
It seems like a waste of money and time to me.
I agree with you. It does seem to me as well. But obviously, with Blizzard's track record, can't really argue too much with them in regards to it. So, but I don't think it's really going to get in a lot of new audiences. I think it's just going to reach out to whoever played the game previously and had fond memories, and just wants them to go ahead and buy a game with a new coat of paint on it, so to speak, as we've seen many times before in recent years. What are your thoughts on the re-envisioning of Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3? Is it something you're interested in? Because we'd like to know. We'd like to know if there's that kind of strong feedback for those two games being remastered. And if there is, then we want to be proven wrong. But we don't think there is. But if you have that interest, share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Humanity Media, Pop Culture Cosmos, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And while you're there, messaging us, please, if you get a chance, please like our pages so you can get the latest information, not only on our great lineup of podcasts and shows that we have to offer, because we're always putting the latest episodes and the latest information from those episodes up on those websites and those news feeds. In the case of Pop Culture Cosmos, we're giving you the latest pop culture information from all over, from movies, television, comics, you name it. Game Source, it's giving you the latest video game information. And Humanity Media is giving you some great information, not only on their great podcasts, but also as well on the great stuff they do, including wedding projects, videos, and a whole bunch of other great stuff that they do, including the gaming videos that Josh does, including the latest game that he's playing, Hellblade: Sesuna's Sacrifice, which want to promote again. How well is that game for you, so far?
I'm loving it. It's probably the most fun I've had in a long time. I know a lot of people are complaining about like the combat, but you got to think about it. It's a AAA developer making a smaller game. If it was supposed to be more on a massive scale, like Devil May Cry or something, I'm sure they would have put time and effort into powering up combos or leveling up characters or weapons or stats or whatever. But this is not that type of game. This is a very straightforward narrative, and it's a very great story. It's just obviously it's got its puzzles and its problems, but for what it is and what you're paying for it, it's a very, very good game.
That's some high praise indeed, and definitely something to look forward to. If you haven't already, you want to go and get a copy of it, download it today, because Hellblade: Sesuna's Sacrifice is definitely a very strong game indeed. And if you're still on the fence, hop on over to the Humanity Media YouTube page to check out all the action indeed. So for Josh Pederson, this is Gerald Glassford. And it's another beautiful day in paradise here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself, had the finger way before me, a great day.